The very nature of filmmaking makes it a pretty public spectacle, and so it's little surprise that most movies aren't made in secret, beyond keeping specific plot details under wraps for the sake of spoilers. But sometimes filmmakers do indeed go the extra mile to keep their shoot on the down low until its theatrical release approaches, as was most certainly the case with each of these 10 films, which no one, literally, saw coming. I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture, and here are 10 movies that were shot in secret. Number 10. Predator 6. Though it's absolutely no secret that Prey director Dan Trachtenberg is currently in post-production on a new Predator film called Predator Badlands, mere weeks ago, 20th Century Studios executive Steve Isbell additionally confirmed that Trachtenberg had also shot another Predator film in total secrecy. How cool is that? More to the point, this secret Predator film will actually release next year before Badlands. Boys, amigos, friends, I believe this is what they mean when they say, I'm in flavor country. While we know that Badlands will star Elle Fanning as one of two sisters who come face to face with the Predator in a future setting, which is so exciting, we know absolutely nothing about its mysterious predecessor, beyond the fact that Trachtenberg will serve as both writer and director. And again, this is at the time of recording, it could be that all this is broken by the time this video comes out, in which case, sorry for being late. Anyway, given that it's incredibly difficult for movies from major franchises to be filmed cloak and dagger style, it's kind of shocking that nothing leaked out about this sequel's existence prior to it being casually announced in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Considering Badlands is due to release on November 7th of next year though, we're presumably gonna find out everything about its secret precursor soon enough. Number 9. Malcolm and Marie. Sam Levinson's drama Malcolm and Marie has the distinction of being the first Hollywood feature to be written, shot, edited, and released during the global COVID-19 pandemic. In July 2020, it was announced that Levinson had already completed shooting the film in secret, with Netflix ultimately acquiring distribution rights and releasing it in February 2021. After the pandemic caused production of TV show Euphoria to be shut down, Levinson invited star Zendaya to work with him on a romantic drama film which could be shot with just 2 actors and a small skeleton crew. I don't know why he needed skeletons to shoot this movie, and I guess they'd probably be pretty loud behind the scenes, but who am I to argue? John David Washington was ultimately brought aboard as her co-star, with shooting taking place over just 2 weeks while adhering to local COVID-19 protocols, meaning that only 12 people could ever be on the set at one time, and everyone had to quarantine for 2 weeks before and after filming. Cannot believe this whole thing was like 4 years ago now. Where did the time go? As a result of the limited personnel, Zendaya and Washington had to do their own makeup and pick out their own clothes for the film. And yeah, it's not really a huge surprise given they're 2 major Hollywood stars, but they scrub up well in this one. The result is a movie that, while divisive as usual for Levinson, boasted an impressive level of polish for a project produced in just a few short months. Number 8. El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. El Camino, a feature-length epilogue to hit TV show Breaking Bad, was filmed in total secrecy in New Mexico in November 2018, and its existence wasn't formally confirmed by Netflix until August 2019, when the streamer dropped a trailer just 6 weeks before its debut on the platform. Given that writer and director Vince Gilligan first floated the idea to star Aaron Paul in 2017, and a Breaking Bad production would inherently invite a ton of attention, it's utterly mind-boggling that all involved were able to keep the lid on it until Netflix dropped the bomb, especially with numerous locations from the series being revisited. El Camino was filmed under a secret title, Greenbrier, for 50 days, with new cast members being kept in the dark about what the project actually was at first, while the script was locked down so that it could initially be only viewed by cast and crew in person. Great pains, and this really is the best part, were also made to keep Bryan Cranston's role secret, the actor being flown to the set by private jet and wearing a disguise during transportation, while any required extras consisted of crew members and their families. And even as rumors began to swirl about the shoot at the end of production, all involved simply lied about what they'd been involved with. How long would you hold out if you'd been working on a secret movie and you were being interrogated by all your friends and family? I really want to know. Let me know down in the comments below. Number 7. Unsane. It's certainly much easier to shoot a film in secret when the footprint of your production is small, as Steven Soderbergh proved with his 2018 psychological thriller, Unsane. In July 2017, Soderbergh announced that he'd shot the film the month prior with a small cast and crew, and this was possible primarily because the filmmaker shot the movie entirely on an iPhone 7 Plus. Conceived as an experiment to see if he could indeed create a film on a consumer camera, Unsane therefore allowed for a smaller crew than his more traditionally shot features. In order to keep the production light, there was even minimal set dressing and makeup used. Soderbergh and his minuscule team were therefore able to film the movie in a disused hospital without attracting much attention at all. Better yet, despite its bold, boundary-pushing style of shooting, Unsane released to critical praise and made almost tenfold its $1.5 million budget at the box office. Gotta love some Soderbergh, baby. Number 6. Escape from Tomorrow. Hands down, one of the most audacious secret films ever made, Escape from Tomorrow is an independent horror feature shot by filmmaker Randy Moore in Walt Disney World Resort and Disneyland Park without getting the Mouse House's permission. Centered around a father who begins experiencing horrific sights on the last day of his family holiday at Walt Disney World Resort, which I guess might be a relatable experience for all the fathers out there, the movie required Moore to get extremely creative with shooting to avoid attracting attention from Disney. If captured, I imagine that we wouldn't be hearing from him ever again. The Mouse House does not mess around with this stuff. As such, Escape from Tomorrow was filmed on small handheld cameras to help them blend in with tourists. Scripts were kept on actors' phones, and recorders were taped to their bodies to capture sound. Scenes were extensively rehearsed in hotel rooms before heading to the park, and Moore even had to chart the position of the sun weeks in advance to ensure they could shoot without additional lighting equipment. And even once principal photography was complete, Moore refused to tell his friends what he was up to, traveling to South Korea to edit the film to prevent Disney from finding out about it. Even when Escape from Tomorrow was accepted to premiere at the 2013 Sundance Film Festival, its synopsis remained intentionally vague to avoid courting attention from the Mouse House, though the moment it screened, the cat was obviously out of the bag. And yet, rather than try and prevent the film's release by tying it up in lawsuits forevermore, Disney probably did the smarter thing of just ignoring it. And so its release came and went without attracting much attention from the hardcore movie fan sphere. Number 5. A Ghost Story. David Lowery's supernatural drama A Ghost Story is an interesting example because it was shot in secret precisely because the filmmaker himself didn't know how it would turn out. The left-field drama about a man played by Casey Affleck who dies and becomes a ghost who lingers in the house he shared with his wife, Rooney Mara, was produced for just $100,000 and filmed quietly in the Irving, Dallas area near to where Lowery grew up. Its existence wasn't confirmed until November 2016, some 5 months after Lowery first shot it, which by his own admission was because he didn't know if the idea would actually work, or if it would even turn out to be a feature film. Even Affleck and Mara's agents didn't know about the shoot until just before it took place. Furthermore, the low budget was financed entirely by Lowery and his producer Toby Holbrooks, to ensure that even if it didn't work and never saw the light of day, the damage would be pretty minimal. But ultimately, A Ghost Story premiered at the 2017 Sundance Film Festival to rave reviews, and ended up grossing $2 million at the box office. A mighty return on something that could never have seen the light of day. Number 4. I Love You, Daddy. I Love You Daddy is a 2017 dramedy written, directed, and starring disgraced comedian Louis C.K. as a TV writer and producer who becomes concerned when his daughter, Chloe Grace Moretz, takes an interest in a controversial, much older filmmaker played by John Malkovich. CK shot the film in total secrecy in June 2017 and stumped up the entire budget himself. The film ultimately premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival just 3 months later to wildly mixed reviews, but its fate was sealed a short while later when the comedian was accused of sexual misconduct by numerous women, resulting in its theatrical release being cancelled. CK ultimately bought the rights to the film back, but 7 years later, it still hasn't had an official release of any kind. When asked about the film in light of the allegations made against the filmmaker, co-star Moretz said she wanted the movie to, quote, just kind of go away, honestly. And that it basically has. Number 3. The Day Shall Come. Chris Morris's long-awaited follow-up to his fantastic satire Four Lions was publicly announced in late 2017, only after the legendary British comedian had already shot it. The Day Shall Come, a black comedy based on several real-life FBI sting operations, was filmed in the Dominican Republic in 2017. Far away from the paparazzi present in more conventional production hubs, Morris was able to complete principal photography before anyone knew of the film's existence. And Morris's second feature maintained a low profile until it premiered at South by Southwest almost 18 months later, even as the filmmaker quietly conducted additional photography in 2018. Details were scarce leading up to its debut, beyond the obvious assumption it would be a political satire, and Anna Kendrick's involvement being confirmed. Ultimately, The Day Shall Come launched to mixed to positive reviews and failed to make much of a dent at the box office, possibly a symptom of the sharp specificity of Morris's writing maybe not translating as well to the States. Needless to say, if he does get a third feature going anytime soon, we probably won't hear about it until it's in the can either. Number 2. Pearl. Cult horror filmmaker Ty West shocked the world when, after his slasher throwback X premiered at South by Southwest, he revealed that he'd also made a secret prequel. West shot X at a high point of the pandemic in New Zealand, and because of the country's highly effective COVID strategy, it became a haven for filmmakers to shoot projects safely. And so, West started writing a prequel to X with star Mia Goth while shooting the film, prompting him to ask A24 if they'd actually greenlight production on the prequel in earnest, which they did. And so, West began shooting Pearl almost immediately after X had wrapped, recycling many of the same sets and using the crew from Avatar: The Way of Water, who were on a break from shooting James Cameron's epic sequel. As a result, Pearl was in the can for almost an entire year before West even announced it, and it went on to receive the strongest reviews of what would become a trilogy of horror films, concluding with the recent Maxine. And number 1, this is not a film. And last, but certainly not least, we have by far the most noble shot in secret film on this list. Legendary Iranian filmmaker Jafar Panahi's 2011 documentary, This Is Not a Film. The doc revolves around Panahi being placed under house arrest and banned from filmmaking for 20 years, due to the Iranian government perceiving him as creating anti-regime propaganda. Aided by co-director Mojtaba Murdamasp, This Is Not a Film consists of self-shot footage of Panahi becoming paranoid and unsettled in the confines of his apartment, while reflecting on his career and appealing his sentence. In order to avoid attracting attention, production was completed in total secrecy. And yeah, it's a fascinatingly meta meditation on filmmaking itself. And even once production was finished, a copy of the film had to be smuggled out of Iran to France for its Cannes Film Festival premiere and a birthday cake. Panahi's film ultimately released to rave reviews, and since its release, he's produced several other movies in secret, defying the government's ban on his artistic liberty.